Hello and welcome to Finding Prospecting Success. My name is Tiffany. I am going to go through this training with you. I wanted to give you just a quick heads up on what to expect. This is finding your prospecting style, and it's specifically directed at real estate agents and real estate industry. But if you're not in the real estate industry, you can still follow along with us. Just know that the bent of the conversation will be in real estate, but I'm sure it's a good parallel if you're in a sales space in another section. Second thing I want to mention is that somewhere on this screen, there should be an interactive quiz related to finding your prospecting style. Maybe you came to the end of this quiz and this is the supplemental information. You'll also get a guide specifically related to your prospecting style. So just look around you. Somewhere there is additional information to engage if you choose. I'm going to make my face smaller so that we can dive into the crux of this stuff, though. Hold on one second. There we go. All right, let's continue on. Hi, hello, my name is Tiffany. I am the partner and principal broker at the Local Element. We're a real estate franchise that focuses on community. We are community enthusiasts. We are people first. We care about small businesses and we are no jerks. That's our thing. So that's me. I love dark coffee. In fact, I have some coffee right here that I will probably pause a couple of times to take a drink of. It's just what it is. And then also, I am a productive procrastinator. What does that mean? You're thinking, I really thrive on deadlines, but I'm really going to wait till the deadline. So if I have something to do, setting a deadline with me is a really good way to work. That's just how I am. A little bit ADHD there, but that's what you should know about me. Also, I recently got my hair cut, so it doesn't look like that. My hair, I let it grow all year long and then I cut it once a year. So throughout the year, you'll see different styles from me. If you're thinking, man, she doesn't look anything like her picture, you're probably right. So where are we going? I moved myself smaller so that I wouldn't be in your way, but I'm just right in your way. Okay, we're going to talk about what you're doing here. Why are you here? The cycles of your business, your sales business, up and downs. Who are you? Woo, 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 woo. I did that just for you. Just for you. You get the who. And then prospecting styles and what to do with them and what to avoid as far as pitfalls and some things to go after for your prospecting style. All right, here we go. So, finding your prospecting success. I wanted to subtitle this. I didn't do it in here, but subtitled, Are you a hunter? Are you a gatherer? Are you a farmer? Or maybe something else as a salesperson. So, in my make believe village, we're going to pretend like we're back in the make believe time of things, early community, just to America. There's a couple of different things that happen. The first one is infrastructure. They were putting up buildings of things, and you're thinking, why are we talking about community right now? We're supposed to be talking about prospecting. I promise there's a reason. They were developing organizations on how they were going to organize themselves in this community versus another community. They were setting up government, laws, taxes. How are they going to manage and regulate the people that are in the community? They had a food section allocated. What are we doing to acquire food? What are we doing to distribute food? And then their own beliefs in their community. They had their own core values. They had their own systems of beliefs and religion specifically, and how they were interacting with medicine. And so all of these things really translate in a way that it looks for your business, specifically real estate. If you're one real estate person, all of these things fall under your responsibility. What's your infrastructure? What's your brokerage look like? How are you governing yourself with your state licensing law and then with your MLS? How are you acquiring food? I know that like go out and kill something and bring it home and that's how you're going to eat. Feels like a lot of the conversation when we're talking about sales, but we're going to talk a little bit more about this, the acquiring sales, the acquiring food to eat. And then what are your beliefs and values? How are you interacting with people? How are you treating people? What are your core values in your operations? And so when we're talking about villages and prospecting styles, we're going to come back to this idea of community a couple of different times. So I'm just getting you set up. Okay, look, I already talked about what I was going to talk about. Here we are. So in this traditional business thing sense, right? In traditional business, you have a management team in corporate America, and then you have these different segments of how operations happen within that corporate America traditional business. So there's an operations department, customer service, supply chain, internal, how are you moving things through? There's a finance department, so accounting. How are you taking care of the books, paying taxes, paying people, regulating the people, right? HR. Sales is, again, in that food component of things. How are you bringing in the people to serve to customers, consumers, those kinds of things in the food department? And then R&D is, how are you going through and developing new things? How are you talking to people? How are you interacting with them online through the IT department? So there's a nice little parallel happening with your real estate business and traditional business in the segments of how things operate within your business. Okay, so where do we focus? I'm gonna move my face again. Where do we focus our attention as a real estate operator or realtor or real estate broker? And maybe just if you're in sales, do you spend so much time interacting with HR or accounting or the operations department? You definitely touch all of those places, right? The food source comes in and then it goes through the rest of the organization to serve. So you're the first touch point as far as interacting with something that will be consumed into the rest of the organization. I said this part is interactive because this is coming from a live class, but here we are just talking about it. So you'll need all of these things as an entrepreneur, but for this conversation, for this action, when we're talking about we just need business to get started, we're going to focus on this marketing and sales department because that's the first touch point throughout the organization for consumers. So marketing, sales, customer service is where we're hanging out. So there's a whole lot to be involved with food when we're talking about community and an organization. First, you can hunt for food. You can physically go out and find it. You can gather food up, right? Go out into the forest and find some berries. I'm playing Oregon Trail right now, which is just something else. Apple Arcade has got me, but there's all of these activities. You can farm for food. It's definitely an investment of time, right? You can serve food to people. You could be the one that interacts with serving the food. You can cook the food. You can store the food. You can have inventory of the food. You can do quality control for how food is being made and delivered. You can think about food. You can eat food. It's getting to lunchtime for me. I realize my computer screen says 10:47, but I'm already thinking about it. So there's a whole lot of ways to interact with food. There's also a whole lot of ways to interact with consumers, clients, customers, whole lot of ways. And what we're doing before we go into this is a quick history of our interaction as humans with food. So first we came from this, I'm backwards, came from this hunter-gatherer society where we had to go out and find the food to consume and then provide for our family and then move on to the next source that existed. This was pre-Neolithic era, which I realize we're getting slightly technical, and I hope that I have not lost your attention yet because of it, but I promise it matters. So the first form of engagement with food was going out as a survival strategy. Like, I have to make this thing happen. And some people are just wired that way because that's how we were. We were wired to go out and find something when we needed it, only when we needed it, and then move according to where we needed it to be. And it's very reactive as a food source. It's very reactive as a client source, but they are going to make it happen. They're going out and they're going to find something because it's the survival of their family, right? You can start to feel the parallels here. The next Neolithic period, we moved into this farming era where communities started to crop up and we started doing more to cultivate and control the food source that was happening because we were sick of being in this reactive state. People were dying at massive rates. When we start getting tools, getting fire, getting a community around things, common language starts developing, core values start developing, and we're in control of our food source, something sustainable for our growing community. This feels like, okay, I know who you are, I know who you are, I know who you are. We all have different roles, but we're going to have to cultivate this for a long time. Again, there is that parallel with sales as it relates to food and cultivating and growing through it. And then we move to industrial agriculture. Industrialized agriculture happens with the Industrial Revolution. Instead of these communities producing their own food within the community and it being very seasonal in what's available, now food can be produced in places, transported by train, by freight, by whatever, to anywhere that you want to have it. It's no longer a luxury to have an orange in the middle of winter from Florida because it can be transported. Is it a little bit more of a cost? Sure. Is it a little less quality because it's not seasonal? Sure. but it's available on demand. And so when we're thinking about the influx of online advertising and what that looks like for our industry, again, it feels very much like we've gone through these stages. Again, I'm backwards, so sorry. We've gone through these stages of how sales have developed, how food has developed, how we've interacted with different things in our world. Okay, continuing on. So, cycles of business. Yeah, we're looking at, there we go. Things. Hunters and gatherers, these salespeople, you may be these salespeople, are very reactionary. They can feel like it's a feast and famine cycle, but it's because when it's a feast, they're feasting. And then when it gets low, they're like, all right, I got to go find some more business. And so it can feel very much like that. For farming, it's definitely still a seasonal activity, just like cultivating a farm would be. There's longer lead times, but it produces more that you can then store for a later period of time. And then industrial agriculture, instant. They need instant money. They need instant response required. These are very much related to those online lead sources where it's speed to lead. There's no like and trust yet. You have to get it in there. Just a quick aside, there are 3 things needed for a sale. They have to know you're a real estate agent, they have to like you, and they have to trust you. So these things involved are different for every season, but industrialized agriculture, online leads have none of that with you. You have to cultivate it very quickly. Okay, continuing on. So, hunter gatherer cycle of business. If we're again comparing and contrasting the ways that we've developed as a human race and as sales professionals, excuse me, sometimes we do this hunter gatherer. We see, oh man, I need some food to survive. I need some sales to survive. So, you go out and find it. Okay, now I've consumed it. I got to get some more. My family depends on it, right? That's what it looks like and feels like in the cycle of business for a hunter gatherer. For, or excuse me, for a hunter. For a gatherer, again, this feels a little seasonal still. This is related to going out into the forest and finding your berries, going fishing for salmon, those kinds of things. And so it's going to feel again like there's an uptick because you're learning how that is and waiting for the season to change for it. But then you gather what it is and you can store it. It's not going to go bad. It's not going to spoil for a little bit. You're going to take care of it. And then finally, the farming cycle. This one's going to have a much longer lead time because you have to plant the seeds, you have to water it, you have to wait for the sun, you have to wait for the seasonality of it. You got to water it some more. Hopefully, frost doesn't come. Same deal. I'm backwards again. There we go. Same deal for your farm, your geographic farm, your niche that you're building. It's going to take a while to get going in there, but once it does, it's going to feed you. You are going to be the go-to person in that geographic area, in that specific niche. You will be the expert here, but it'll take some time. And so these all feel like different cycles of business, and you can see how quickly some of them happen, right? And how long some of them sustain. That hunter situation will always be on the hunt. Can you cultivate a sphere? Absolutely, you can, but you'll always be on the hunt. And that's how some people are. So, looking at these things, I love this chameleon. It makes me so happy. Look, because you might be a combination of some of them. Looking at the things that we've already talked about, where do you live at in there? Where are you? If you had to choose one. Oh, there we go. If we had to choose one right now without knowing anything else, where do you think that you would be? Question mark. Okay, so hunter. Let's talk about a hunter. We've got our lone wolf here, right there. Looking out into the great expanse. He is excited. She is excited. This hunter is excited. So, what does it look like to be a hunter? Picture of a hunter. Number one, they are always actively prospecting. They are physically going out and making deals happen. It is about that moment for them, that attack. And I tend to be vegetarian leaning whenever possible, so I apologize for the references, but it is about going and finding the thing that you will bring back to camp. They have a sphere, but not necessarily a developed pipeline within the sphere. It's more, who am I talking to? Who am I in front of right now? How can I get them excited about real estate and then bring them back? These are people that go out to a coffee shop or just walk around anywhere in life and they come back with a lead because they're engaging in that direct conversation wherever they are. They close big deals. Hunters are big deal closers. They go out and find it and they bring it back. Maybe inconsistently they're closing big deals, but they are doing it. They are very much about the win of that moment, but they're at the mercy of the environment, the real estate market environment, and if they happen to happen into a lead that day. So very much up and down like we saw before. And hunters are competitive. They are competitive, even if they don't share it outwardly, because I don't think that all hunters do. The hunt within them is very competitive. They want to beat what's happening around them and their last personal best. They're always trying to run against what they've done before. All right, so what are some prospecting strategies related to hunters? Let me move my head up here. There I am. Okay, so what are some prospecting strategies to lean into as a hunter? Great question. First one, post up in public spaces. Just being out there will get your hunter spirit alive. You will love it. For sale by owners, expired dumpsters. Dumpsters. If you're just driving around and you see a dumpster in somebody's yard, that is a sign, friend. That is a sign that something's about to happen. Let me put me on pause for a second. I got some coffee and we're back. Okay. So that's a sign that something's about to happen with that. They're cleaning out, they're doing some sort of massive something for a massive something. So they go out and just door knock on there and then calling through their sphere. It may not be a whole, like, let's call A to Z today, but something is going to happen in those calls and they're going to make them. So these are really good prospecting strategies for that hunter spirit. Okay, continuing on. What to avoid as a hunter? Farming. Farming is not for a hunter. Will they do it? Yes, absolutely, because they want the business. Are they going to be incredibly bored by it and probably lose motivation and be incredibly impatient? You know it. So this is really a weakness of a hunter. I do not recommend this. Is it something you could do in a pinch? Yes. Do I recommend it? No. Okay, so farming, number one, geographic farming, farming a niche, not something I recommend unless you have somebody alongside of you helping in that way. Transaction management. Oh my gosh, paperwork for a hunter? Come on. They want to be out there doing the people work, and I totally get it. Will they do the paperwork? Yes. Is that something they should pursue as an income source for their business? And then long lead time projects. Look at this guy. Look at this gal. Which way am I pointing? There we go. Look, that's an adventurer right there. They don't want long lead time projects they got to sit around and wait for. They want to go on an adventure. Hunters want adventure. Okay, so what does your business look like? How can you grow it as a hunter? Because you're thinking, I'm doing what I need to do, fine, but I want to grow my business. So, number one, as a hunter, ways to grow your business: lead a team. Lead a team, and you're going to lead from the front, not from the back. You're going to be showing them the way. You're going to be out there making deals happen, bring them alongside of them, and then let them run alongside of you. Hiring out more of your administrative work will free up the time to do the people work. You want to do the people work as a hunter, and that's fair. Give the paperwork to somebody else that can do it. And then continuously learn about upcoming market trends and then go hunt there. Go be there. Go explore the thing that's happening in that new segment or that reimagined segment of real estate. One way that I see this happening for hunters is going out and getting off-market deals for their investors, right? We don't have so much of a foreclosure market in this specific moment. However, they're still making off-market deals happen by just going and knocking on doors, seeing those dumpsters and making the connection to save their investors some money. That's an example of that. Okay, so we've talked about hunters. Now let's talk about gatherers. Let me move my face down again. Hope you guys are fine with me moving myself all over the place. Okay, exploring your prospecting style as a gatherer. Look at that. Look at all those peeps. They're having a great time. This, for gatherers, is not gatherers of berries. This is gatherers of people. Do you see? That's you. Maybe. Maybe it's not. Who knows? Maybe you're an incredible introvert, like me. And you might not think that, but I am. Okay, so picture of a gatherer. They're actively passive prospecting. Gatherers are gathering people. They're not gathering transactions, and they're not necessarily extroverts either. They might be introverts that enjoy being with people for a period of time and then need to come back. It's if you're extrovert or introvert is depending on how you get energy, not necessarily what all of your actions are. I get energy by myself, and then I come back and I enjoy interacting with people. So they're going through and gathering people up, and they know the value that a collective group pulled together can do for their business. If you have a book club, if you have a wine club, maybe you do. I have one agent that does really well with wine clubs. That's another conversation. Or a networking group, a chamber of commerce group. You are regularly meeting with a collective of people to pull together resources for your business. They support their community. It may not be big out of the blue wins like what the hunter's getting with those big deals they're closing, but and maybe not as consistent as the farmer as the source of business, but the gatherer has a strong community and advocates of potential clients that they close deals through. So this is somebody that's, again, relying on the strength of their network, the people they've gathered together to close those deals. Also, gatherers are very observant, and you have to be when you're a gatherer out there looking for which things are edible, the change of the season. The same thing for sales gatherers. They take in information from the people that they're watching. They watch the seasonality of sales. Okay, every February I have the lowest month that I have all year long. Well, why is that? How can I navigate around that? And then they shift when necessary. These are people that are very observant in the sales cycle. So, what kind of prospecting should you lean into as a gatherer? Number one, there it is. Join anything. Look at that. That's a workout group. Let me tell you, the best sense of community is from group classes or working out alongside of somebody. It is so powerful to do something that you're excited about, that's physical, alongside somebody else. And sometimes you need their help to spot, right? Or just be part of that collective. They develop a niche. There we go. So this is, I just put this picture on here to represent my Chamber of Commerce class that I'm in. I'm in this like round table in my Chamber of Commerce. Maybe that's not your niche. Maybe your niche is divorces and you have a really great network of divorce attorneys. Not that that's something that you want to go into happily, but sales happen in divorces. And that is a way that if you gather people around a specific topic, you can have a consistent source of income. And then the social media content calendar, there it is a really good way to actively passive with your prospecting. So you're sharing it out there, what you're doing, you're sharing your real estate, but you're not necessarily asking a direct person, hey, do you want to make a sale? Do you want to make a sale? But you're letting everybody know you are ready. You are ready to have it. So those are some things to lean into as a gatherer. Here's what to avoid as a gatherer. Aggressive prospecting. Do not do it. It's not for you. A hunter can do aggressive prospecting well. People that gather people don't want to sully the relationship, sully the relationship with the people they've gathered. The other thing too, this one's very difficult, comparison. It's very difficult when you gather people to not then be comparing yourself against the people you've gathered. Do not do it. Do not do it. Comparison is the thief of joy every single time. Do not fall into the comparison trap. If you are, please meet with your broker to talk about some ways that you can build your confidence up in sales, or your sales manager building your confidence up in sales, because that comparison trap, it is no good, especially with the flashiness of the closings that the hunters are having, which is fine. I'm so happy for that crew because that's what they go out and find, but they also have this sometimes, right? Gatherers have this. That's backwards. There we go. Because they're collecting people along the way. And then also, I don't recommend long lead time projects for gatherers, specifically as it relates to geographic farming and neighborhood, unless you're doing something with that neighborhood association, with people involved. It feels like a very long and arduous project without the success for geographic farming if you're starting from zero. So I do not recommend that for gatherers. Gather your people. So, growing your business, how are you going to do this? You say, great, I've got a good business. I am a gatherer. I want to grow my business as a gatherer. This is me saying it for you if you're a gatherer. Number one, lead a team, but lead it from the center. Be the person that gets all of the right people along, and then let's go forward together as a community. You can do this space, you can do this, you're really good at that, do that, and you have them all around you because you're hiring these hunters, farmers, and the right support people, but you're right in the middle, moving forward alongside of them and encouraging everyone along the way. And then continuously learning about upcoming market trends and direct your team there. You're not necessarily going there first, you're directing your team how to go about that. All right, farmers, here we go. Look at that picture. Doesn't that look so nice? Okay, so what do you do as a farmer? You're thinking, I am a farmer. So the picture of a farmer, here we are. They are passively active about prospecting, right? Think about a farmer. They till the land, then they put the seed in there. So they're active in their actions, but they realize the sales are coming later. They're watering, they're waiting on it to heat up. They're waiting for the sun. They're watering some more. They're see the little buds. They go take care of the insects that are on. Like there are things happening for this farmer, but they're persistent in their prospecting. They know they're going to see results someday in the future, but they're not there yet. It's a significant investment of time and money for the payoff, but when it does, it's consistent for years, years, years of consistency, but it takes some time to get there. They have a process. So farmers have a process. They know exactly what their system is going to look like. They just have to do the system. They have faith in the system. They plant in season, they water consistently. They make sure they look out for sunshine and people and harvest sales when they're ready. They also store up their commissions for the winter. Do you hear me? They store up their commissions for the winter. It is so difficult to have a winter in real estate if you have not stored it up or if you do not have a hunter mentality that you're just going to go make something happen. It is incredibly difficult. Most farmers are likely to pay themselves like a paycheck. They'll have a commission account, but then they pay themselves regularly because they like the consistency of it. I totally get it. And also, they're patient. Where is that? They're patient. So, can we just talk about bamboo for a second? It's like 5 years that this bamboo is waiting till it shoots up to its full height, but it's patience and knowing that it's going to happen. Bamboo farmers have to wait 5 years for their harvest. Okay, yep. But those farmers have faith, they have patience, and they reap the rewards of a sustainable source of business, just like the bamboo is a sustainable source of lumber. It is patience, but it's sustainable and you can count on it. You can make forecasts and maps and all of the things. So, prospecting strategies to lean into as a farmer. Number one, neighborhood prospecting. So good for you. You should absolutely think about neighborhood prospecting. Market segment expert, same deal. You have something that you want to go after. You know it's going to take a long time. Maybe it's retirement communities. And this is a big segment coming up, the boomer population downsizing and moving into retirement communities now and in the future. Is how do you make that connection? You're the market expert and you've got both sides of the conversation. So assisted living communities where they need somebody to refer the business to sell the house, and people that are selling their house looking for their next stage. Where are they moving to for assistance? And so you've got it both ways, and you are now the market segment expert. And then blogs and landing pages. This is a good way for online lead sources to find you just through their 11:30 at night searches. It takes a while to build up that presence, but once you do, that's a consistent source of business when people are landing on your blog for information about whatever you're talking about, the neighborhood, the market segment, but you're giving consistent information until you become that top result on Google. Okay, so what to avoid as a farmer? Aggressive prospecting. Avoid it like the plague. You're patient, you're persistent, you have faith in what's coming. Aggressive prospecting is not for you. This is a hunter mentality, right? Next, shiny object syndrome. Can you imagine if a farmer pulled up and changed his crops because he heard something else was better this year, in mid-season, pulls up his crops and is like, actually, I'm done with this. Let's try something totally different. No, that wouldn't happen. So That is something to avoid. And then the last one, and this is a trap that a farmer can fall into because they can be so consistent in how they're pouring into this one area of their business that they avoid market shifts. I used to sell foreclosures during the foreclosure crisis. I did over 5,000 HUD sales during that time. But there are some brokerages that were HUD listing brokers that have never shifted their business from that market. And so now they have no idea how they're going to make their ends meet because they didn't recognize and shift their business to represent the upcoming market. Can you still have a HUD listing business and shift to when people are moving on from those HUD homes that they bought? Absolutely, but they didn't because they were so hyper focused on this one niche. They never went beyond it, and now it's really a trouble spot for them. So don't avoid the market shifts. Okay, growing your business as a farmer. You will do really well with a team from the back. You're going to be the systems person of this. You're going to hire gatherers. You're going to hire other farmers. You're going to hire support. Not necessarily hunters, you see, I didn't put in there. Those can clash sometimes. The hunters, let's move forward at this very fast pace and follow the scent of wherever something is leading us, versus the farmer's very steady Eddie. It can definitely clash. So hire the right hunter if you are a farmer leading a team. But you're going to do it from the back. You're going to see what's out there. You're going to let people explore a little bit and then decide where we're going to go together, but with a system and definitely a plan. And then continuously learning about upcoming market trends is going to be a really big theme for hunters so that you don't miss where the market is going because your head is so directly focused on the soil in front of you. Okay, so other prospecting styles, you may not have resonated with one or the other. Let's talk about industrialized agriculture. This is where we're moving to, right? So there's a couple of different ways that in what's happening right now, real estate agents can serve. It's not necessarily the right or wrong way, it's just a new way that's happening. So the first thing, servers. They could just be servers, very transactional. These are people, they're not cooking the food in the back, they're not ordering the food in the front, they're not running the establishment. They are essentially saying, okay, you want this? I can get this. I can get this. But they're not responsible for the way that it is, only the way that the information is delivered. It's going to have to be very transactional. Think servers at a diner, not necessarily servant leadership. A lot of people think, oh, I'm a server. I'm serving my clients. That's not what we're talking about here. Hold on. I'm going to take some more coffee drinks. Hold on. All right, we're fully caffeinated again. Here we go. Just in case anybody was wondering, I use Screencastify, which is an excellent screen recording app. I do it for these trainings, but also for my clients. So when I'm walking through contracts, a lot of times for those e-signature platforms, I know we're just on a quick little aside. For those e-signature platforms, they just prompt them to sign through. So what I do, I don't necessarily do the webcam, but I'll record my screen and go through line by line the contract and send it over so they have me explaining each section in detail that they can watch before they're prompted to just go through and sign in those different spots. Just one more level of liability protection as a salesperson, if that's something you want. But Screencastify, it's a Chrome extension. I love it. All right, so we talked about servers. This is not servant leadership. This is not, I'm serving my people. This is, you're taking an order, you're taking it back to the back, you're bringing out the food that they specifically wanted. It is just informational. You are just transactional as a server. Maybe that's what you want. Maybe that's like, yeah, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Like, that's it. You don't have control over very much, but you do have control of delivering the results, like a transaction coordinator, right? Or a server in this way. This is one way. Next, to volunteers. These are people that care so deeply about others and want to help, but they forget to charge, or they don't know how to charge, or they don't have this confidence to charge. So they volunteer their time. You are not a volunteer agent. You are not a volunteer salesperson. You are there to earn a living, and you can still help. It's very important. The way that I approach my work is with help, but I do charge because we have to bring something back for our families or ourselves to live off of, right? Your time is your most valuable asset. You can absolutely volunteer, but at the end of the day, that's volunteering your time and your ability to eat, truly. And then agents that are just there to eat, they're just there about the transaction. That's it. They're takers. They're people on the group project who everyone despises. These are agents, and you've worked on the other side of the transaction from them, that you do not want anything to do with them. Don't be these people. Please don't be these people. Don't be these people. So, what are some prospecting strategies if any of these applied to you? You felt like, oh, yeah, that's me. Being on a team is going to be a really good one for you. Online leads, you're just speed to lead. Let me get you in this house. Let me get the transaction done. Or a showing assistant. Maybe you're not quite there for the confidence to have a sales conversation yet, but you still want to be involved in real estate. So a showing assistant is going to be a really great way to have real estate conversations without being involved in the money part of either of those conversations. Still a way to serve. So what to explore if this is you, job shadowing top agents in your office to see if that's something that you want to be or do, or a prospecting style that you want to explore. Two, review your numbers. This is a little bit more of a difficult conversation, but if you're not earning a living yet in your real estate sales, review your numbers. Sometimes real estate is actually a bridge to your next destination, and you just need to decide, okay, is it time to be done and explore something else that is not sales-based? Because sales-based is not for me. I don't want to go be a hunter. I don't want to wait a long time for the farm. I don't want to gather people. I really just want to help people, and maybe that can be done in a customer service component somewhere else. But the real estate aspect and sales exploration was a bridge to get your confidence to that place. And then number three, addressing internal obstacles. There are some very great salespeople that I work with that have internal obstacles, is really the way to put it. Imposter syndrome, the way that their parents talk to them make them not feel confident in it, but they could be great if they chose to be great. But really, it's internally, they're having that moment where they don't feel worthy of it. And so I went to therapy for 2 years. It was a wonderful, absolutely necessary thing instead of getting a coach. So many times I see in real estate, to address the obstacles you have, get a coach, but really it's foundational stuff internally that needs to be dealt with first. So explore therapy versus coach versus brokerage training and what exactly is needed in that instance. The answer is not always a coach. It's just not. Sometimes you just need to know what in the world to do with real estate. So that's brokerage training. Sometimes you need to address the things from the conversations that you have in your head, right? And it's very foundational and inside of you. Therapy. Sometimes you need motivation to get to that next level. Coach. Good. So how are you going to grow your business if you're in this other section of things? Number one, stepping into lead acquisition, going and having the sales conversations, developing a sustainable prospecting strategy. Choose one of those and just try. Just see what happens. And then decide really if you'd rather be in support than sales. Maybe the sales conversation is not for you, but the sales conversation is 80% of the role as a salesperson, as a real estate agent, as a real estate broker. So if that's not something that you want to engage in, then shifting to support is going to be really powerful for you and probably give you a better quality of life because you've been uncomfortable with the sales conversation. Two things I want to note here. I got to scroll all the way back up for the two things that I want to note because the last slide just came and there was other things that I want to say. Look, if you're a brand new agent and you know that you're going to be much better as a farmer, but you need business now, you need cash flow now, you might have to go out and hunt for a couple of deals. And that's going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to give you this first increase and bump as you're growing your farming style. Look, as we're growing our farming style to go, and I realize I've said there's been some tension points for farmers versus hunters, specifically because of the prospecting activity that's engaged in there, but you need money now. And sometimes we have to be a little bit uncomfortable to have that income now. So ask your brokerage for some ways to engage in lead generation that they're already doing while you build up this farmer cycle. Go out and hunt for some things. It might be uncomfortable, but it's good. For sale by owners are already raising their hand saying they're interested in real estate. And then the other thing for gatherers, this is a nice in between. So if you're a gatherer, same deal. You might have to hunt for some business in that first little bit to have cash flow if you don't have a healthy savings in there. And then the second thing I was going to say, as we scroll all the way back down, what are you going to do with this information? It's one thing to have the knowledge that we've just gone through and talk about the different prospecting styles. Now there's some action on it. So spend some time after this. Please review the guide that we have, take the interactive quiz if you're not at the end of it already, and engage with now what? What does this mean for your business? How are you going to shift and lean into it for assisting others and assisting you? So that's it. My name is Tiffany again with the Local Element. Feel free to follow me. I'm at thelocal.broker on most socials, or just Tiffany Szakal, Szakal. I am so excited to chat with you more about this, and I wish you all of the best in your prospecting success. I'll talk to you guys soon.